Good morning, Ozarks, Springfield, and around the world. This is Steve McAllister with Silver Linings, and I'm glad that you could tune in. It's a rainy day today, but you know what? It's okay. It's better than the white stuff. So, we're going to have a good show for you. So, put your seatbelts on and buckle in because it's going to be quite a ride this morning. And I want to thank Matt for being my engineer today and producer. And so I'd really like to thank um, Jim and Pam as well. And we got Lisa coming on here very shortly. She's my guest. And we hope you will enjoy the show. And coming up later on is Changing Times with Lynn Morris and Don Blocker. And right now, before your very eyes, it's Lisa. Lisa, how are you?
Good morning. I'm good.
Oh, good. Um, how's
How
the
are you
weather
this
down there?
morning?
Oh, I'm doing good.
It rained last night. It rained last night, but we're good. It didn't get much. We wish we had your rain.
Oh, well, yeah, it's a downpour, that's for sure. But you know what? We've enjoyed the rain because it's a lot better than the white stuff. Of course, we're more north than you. Now, where are you at exactly in Texas?
Close to Austin, the center
Okay.
of Texas. We're right in the center of Texas.
Oh wow, you're like right in the middle.
We're
Is
pretty
that
close
correct?
to the very middle, so we have rain goes around us. Like everybody gets rain but us. But we got a little last night, so the Lord's listening. We need a little more.
Well, that's good. How's the fires doing down there? The wildfires?
We haven't had any. Don't jinx us. We haven't had any in the last week.
Oh, well, that's good. Well, that rain, I heard maybe that rain is the one that snuffed it all out. I hope
Yeah, we hope it puts out the embers. That would be good.
because that's I heard that was quite destructive. We need to pray for those families. So
Over
let's get
8,000.
what?
I said, I think it was over 8,000 acres in one spot. So that was a lot. Um,
Wow.
a little bit, yeah, a little bit north of us. So there's been a lot. People need to be very careful. They don't understand you need to be very careful. You can just flip out a cigarette on the side of a farm to market out here, and the grass is almost up to your knees. So, just be aware of fires and how to take care of um, Texas. It's just, you wouldn't believe how dry it is.
Hmm. So let's get right to it. What age did you marry?
I got married at 20, and I wanted to give you a little bit of backstory.
Okay.
I was bullied in school, really bad bullied, K through 12. I lived in a really small town, so there was only like 20 of us in a class. I went to school with the same people most of that time, and I was a little bigger than some, so I was called an elephant and all kinds of fun things. So that started to break me down. I had no confidence in myself. I had sex forced on me at a young age, and they told me they would tell my daddy. And that was a lot of guilt and a lot of fear when you have a mother and father that are great parents and you idolize your father. You certainly don't want anybody telling him that you're less than. So I was already broken. Then I had a fear of my dad judging me, and So when this gentleman asked me to get married at 19, and we married on my 20th birthday, um, I was afraid if I didn't get married, no one would ever love me. And I did love him, and he did love me. And the best thing that ever happened to me came out from that marriage, and that was Brandy. Um, but when Brandy was born, he had to deal with his own issues, and he couldn't take the stress. And we divorced when Brandy was like a couple of months old.
That must have been really hard.
It was hard because he went on about his way, and I didn't force him to be present or pay child support. Um, I just got another job and a better job and worked really, really hard. It's funny how I worked harder to take care of Brandy than I would have worked to take care of myself. So the good Lord knew that I needed, um, she was my security blanket. I needed her to fight for because I was so broken down as a child and a young adult that it was hard to fight for myself. I had no courage. I had no self confidence. But I remember the day that I decided I was going to have to fight for us. I worked at
Mm-hmm.
a bank, and I bought a
Right.
pair of pantyhose and the little egg that used to get pantyhose in, and I
Oh
had no
yeah, I
money.
remember that.
I made yeah, I had to dress really nice at this bank, and I didn't have much money. We weren't eating very much. And so I went to put on those hose, and there was a tear in it already. And I took it back to the store. I slammed it on the counter and I said, "These are not good. I need a new pair of pantyhose." And that was the day I started taking up for myself.
All right, way to
And
go.
believe it
And
or
it started
not,
with a pair of
yeah, they
pantyhose.
and they gave me a new pair of pantyhose, and I thought, wow, this worked out really good. I'm gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm. Brandy sure really, we
So,
met Brandy last week, and man, she's a powerhouse. She really loves you, and it shows. And just say hi to her for me.
hey, Brandy, hey, baby. She she's just she's almost 40, and she's just now finding herself. You don't she has no babies, and she's not married. And so Brandy helped me find myself. And you have, who knows what it is that helps a person come into their own. But I got remarried when Brandy was 3, and I did that because I was lost and I didn't think I was worthy. And I just married another problem. I thought I could fix him. I thought I could help his life. And if I helped his life, I would help my life. But I found out that he just took his frustrations, all of his past, all of his frustrations, he took out on me and Brandy. He took out mostly on Brandy. He would control me by lashing out at her. And when Brandy was little, she one night I put her to bed and she said, "Mom, can we run away? Can we put all my clothes in my pillowcase and run away?" And so I realized that I needed to reach out for some help. And I did, through the police department, through battered women. And even though they could do menial, that's a word,
Right.
they explained to me my choices. And that's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to say, I've been married and it didn't work because he fell apart, and I left, and then here I am married again with a baby, and he's verbally abusive, and my child is asking me for some relief. That's all embarrassing. And it was easier for me to get away from that with her saying to me as a child, "Please, let's get some relief." I think I probably would have stayed in that marriage and just suffered it had I not seen that it was hurting her. So I think
Hmm.
sometimes I work with a lot of young people, Steve, and their children. I've been able to reach out and work with a lot of young people and their kids. And I feel like sometimes when I explain to them that what they're going through is touching their children, is affecting their children, they're able to see that through a different light, and they're able to reach out and help themselves a little better. And so I think when you understand that, that it's okay to reach out for help. In fact, not too far from here is going to be a film that's coming out. A friend of yours is doing that, and they have a national domestic violence line. And I want to show you this and read from it. You can text "Love Is" to 22522, or you can email. There's an email address at the bottom of the screen, right?
Hmm.
Can you
Yeah.
see the email address, Steve?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's standandfindyourvoice@gmail.com, and you can address it to Lisa or Brandy. And if there's any questions or anyone who wants to reach out and get more information on where you can go, or anything that I can do to help, or Brandy can help, you can send something to that email address. But when you're going through that, Steve, you feel like you can't tell your parents. You don't want to
Right.
hurt those around you. When you're being abused, whether it's physical or mental, you have actually nobody to reach out to. Brandy couldn't reach out to me because she didn't want to hurt me. She told
Right.
you that she thought I was happy, and she couldn't reach out to me because she didn't want to disturb my happiness. So you have no one when you're being physically abused or mentally abused. You can't reach out to their family. You can't reach out to your family. It's an embarrassment. You feel like you're a failure.
Yeah.
You know, how can you admit that you've messed up, that you've gotten yourself in this predicament that you can't get out of? And a lot of kids, a lot of young people, a lot of people my age turn to drugs
Hmm.
uh, to get through that. And it's just, um, I don't
It's a
know.
ripple effect.
It is. And then you start trying to save that person because you think, well, if I make their life better and if I do everything they're wanting me to do, then they'll be happy, and then they'll get off my back. They'll stop
Right.
hurting me if I fix them. And the only person that can fix them is themselves. You can only, um, you can't make someone ask for help. But the neat thing is, through all of this, Steve, God is not unaware. He's aware of your struggles. And when a
Yes, he
door
is.
shuts, a window opens. And if you
Amen.
believe in the dear Lord, which I did from a young age, and sometimes you say, how could you put me through this? How can I get through this? But he won't lead you to it unless he can lead you through it. And if you ask for help and you talk to God, he is aware of your struggles, and he
Hmm.
will open a window. You just have to be strong enough to look for that window and then take it when it's open. You know, no one can see your story. I can't look at you and know your story, and you can't look at me and know my story. And I subbed at school, at our local school, for a little while, and the kids were judging me as they saw me right then. And I I reached out to some of the kids that were geeks, or some of the kids that were a little overweight, and I kind of told my story. I didn't say, "Hey, look, you're a geek," but I did tell them a little bit about my story when I was in school, and it shocked them because they couldn't look at me, the person I am today, and see that I had struggled through all that pain. And,
Hmm.
I don't know, is there an age, Steve, where your pain cuts off, or where your triumphs cut off? It's just a different one. It's just a
Yeah.
different hurdle.
Level.
Life is just a bunch of hurdles, and you
Hmm.
just have to learn how to get over the next one. Um, Most people have struggles. They're struggling with something, either from their past or something at work, or, Everybody has struggles. So I think it's important to be kind to other people and don't judge other people at any age. Kids can be cruel. So,
Oh,
I
believe me,
tell my
you can.
grandkids, yeah, I tell my grandkids all the time, if somebody's mean to them at school, they're probably going through something at home, and that maybe that they just need to be kind.
Hmm. Yeah. So, what was your education level?
Well, I went to college, and I'm glad you asked me that because I was pretty fractured going into college, and it gave me a new start. And that's a point I wanted to make today. And I know I'm giving a lot of information, but it's a lot of things that helped me grow. I
That's
could
okay.
start over. I went to college and no one knew me. No one knew that I came from a school where everybody, the class clown made fun of me, that I was everybody's punching bag. I went into that college whoever I wanted to be. I could represent myself as anybody I wanted to be. And I made new friends, and those college kids pull me through, and they're lifelong friends. They're friends that I may not have seen for a year, but when I pick up the phone, we're instant buddies. They were um, they were part of my saving process and helping me find myself. Even though I continued to make mistakes, and I had to deal with life, whatever life threw me, that going to college was really my first opportunity to make real friends and start finding out, creating who I was.
You know, you have to start somewhere. And so, what obstacles did you have?
Well, I went through I went through several marriages, and what's funny is, well, it's not funny, but uh, the next marriage, I should say, my next marriage, he helped save me from my second marriage, and then we started dating, and I loved him, and he loved me, and it turned out he was the worst abuser of all three. And I think what people don't know is that people from broken backgrounds act
Hmm.
that out sometimes, whether it's physical abuse or verbal abuse. And all of the three husbands were abused in some form or fashion, and they carried that through and just lived that out and punished me and my daughter. I mean, I was part of how they coped. And so the guy that I thought was the best choice ended up being the worst abuser. And as I say, he was just living out and trying to control what had happened to him in his past. And he even shared some of that. But they groom you, abusers groom you. And it's a grooming process where they make you trust them, and then they make you feel like you're nothing without them and you can't survive without them. And he even told my daughter, your mother can't survive without me. And you can't look at somebody and know they're an abuser.
Hmm.
You can't, you need to be aware. I think it's important for you to be aware of who you are. um, it's hard to see the sign. They don't wear a sign around their neck that
No,
says, I've been through hell and I'm going through this, and I'm gonna bring you into this drama. I'm gonna hurt you. They don't wear a sign. So I think it's important for you to understand yourself, learn yourself. Did you know at one point, even until my cousin kind of told me, you need to take care of yourself. You need to learn yourself. You need to come over and stay with me for a while and learn who you are. Go to the gym, get your nails done. I didn't even know what color was my favorite color. I'd been told what to like for so long. I had been molded to what other people needed me to be, even in school, even in kindergarten. Um, that I didn't know who I was. I was a lost person. So when you're lost, you reach out to those who you think understand you, and that's just part of their grooming. But know yourself, get to know who you are, do nice things for yourself, um, make yourself better. Um, don't let other people determine your self worth.
Mhm.
Find out what your heart is about. And, it's never too late to understand or learn who you are or change your future. Some people say, well, I'm 40 and it's just too late. I'm just going to keep doing these drugs and I'm just going to, because my mom and dad won't forgive me and this won't happen. That's false. It's never too late to find yourself and change your future.
That's right. Amen. So, did Brandy know her dad?
Brandy met her dad a couple of times, but he was living his life, doing his thing, and we always loved each other. We would have a conversation over the phone, even in later years, and he told me that it was Brandy and I that he loved the most, but um, I think he was fearful that he would hurt our lives. And so it was one of those things that he realized his past was catching up with him, and he kind of let us go so we could have a life. And I think that's funny how, if we'd have just had a conversation and we could have helped each other, we probably still would have been married. He passed away several years ago from lung issues, and he had diabetes that kind of got the best of him. But before the end, he and Brandy had connected, and they talked every Friday for about an hour and a half, and they got to know each
Um,
other and love each other. And Brandy got to understand the reason why I fell in love with her dad, and the reason why we made her out of love is because he had a super personality. He could dance like no other, and that he was a super, super man, and that Brandy got all of his great qualities. And Brandy met him when she was like 16, and she said, Mom, he's really good looking. Well, of course he is. That's why you're so pretty.
that was a good answer, Mom.
Do you know that's another thing that Brandy tells me all the time? I never, even at my lowest point, talked ugly about her dad, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have Brandy. And so you cannot build yourself up by tearing someone else down. And I had a child to love and protect, and I wanted her to have a pleasant surroundings. Even though I put her right in the middle of horrible places, I really thought I was doing better. But the truth was, I was trying to find myself. And when you're lost, it's hard to make a safe place for yourself and for your child. But I never talked ugly about her dad. I always loved him, even through his hard times. And we talked those out as older adults in our 50s, and we made peace with each other, and that has really helped Brandy in the last several years understand that, um, where she came in. I
Right.
think Brandy's just found herself in the last 6 months, and she's about to be 40. And so once
She's
again, it's
doing
never
very
too
well.
late. She really is come into herself just recently. And as I say, isn't that great? Because for all of the people that are listening, it's not too late for anybody at any age.
No, it isn't. And that's what I want my viewers to understand is that if you're going through something, God can be right in the midst of things. I mean, He can be right in the midst of your trials. You just have to look to Him and pray and ask Him to help you and guide you. But you also need to reach out for help. And that's what Lisa and Brandy are wanting you to do is to reach out to them. And they're there to help you. And believe me, if you watched last week, Brandy really cares for people, and believe me, you need to reach out to them if you need the help.
I think as
So,
you find yourself, it's important to help others, because there's nothing worse in the world to see someone be afraid of life. You shouldn't have a fear. You know, God takes away your fear. You shouldn't. It's horrible to see a child living in fear or an adult living in fear. To know someone's going to bed and they're scared. That's a terrible feeling. And Brandy and I, we want anybody to reach out to us, but there's a lot of avenues, and I don't know. I think you probably give some of those out on your programs as well.
Hmm. We have and will continue to. Um, so, having Brandy on the show really, I think, helped her and is helping other women, young women her age. But it was a takeoff to have her help others, and then with you following, just to make sure that people know that people are out there that care for them, that are struggling. And so, did your education affect getting work? You getting work?
Well, I'm glad you asked that too, because I was really good in high school, believe it or not. I mean, I was smart in high school. My mother helped me a lot. And if your parents are not helping you do your homework in high school's important. School's important. Elementary's important. Reach out to a teacher. Tell someone. Schools are hard these days. I've worked at the schools, and they're hard. Kids have to overcome other kids in their class. They have to, there's class clowns and noise and all this kind of stuff. Tell your teacher, I'm interested in learning, because if you get a good basis, you have a better chance at, um, like a kid told me in school, I don't need to know math. I'm not going to do anything in math. If you work at McDonald's, you need to know math. If you're going to give change, you need to know math. And I told him, it doesn't matter what you do in life. If you work at McDonald's, be the best hamburger flipper they have. Work your way up, be the manager, get your own McDonald's. The sky is the limit. You may start low. I started working in a meat locker plant, packing sausage, and it was cold in there, and I didn't want to do that anymore, Steve. So I went to college, and I quit after 2 years, and I got my MRS instead of my BS. I got my MRS, which was my Mrs. degree. I got married, and
Mm-hmm.
I went to a job interview. I went to 5 job interviews, and in one day, and I got 4 of those jobs. So I had to
Wow.
pick one. But you know what? I was scared to death at every interview, scared to death. And so I got the job, and people helped me. Those women knew that I was young and afraid, and people will reach out to you, accept their love. Accept that. God will reach out to you in weird ways. At one time, Brandy and I were dirt poor, and the ladies at my bank brought me a bunch of clothes, and they told me they got them out of their closet. But it's funny how they just fit me perfect, and some of them still had the tags. So they went together and bought me clothes because they knew I was suffering. Sometimes they would bring me lunch. Accept that love from other people, because as you accept that love, you will grow, and then you'll be able, like at my age, I'm able to give that love back. um,
Mm-hmm.
but I went from that job to another job to another job, and I could see, I met a guy at work at the bank who offered me a position, and I went into that position, and then I got a better position. And as I say, there were times, Steve, there was a time when I walked into an office, and it was just Brandy and I needed the job, and the guy said, I don't need anybody. And I said, I heard you need a secretary. No, I don't need anybody. So I left, and I went back the very next day, and I said, I'm here for a job. And he said, Lady, I told you yesterday I didn't need anybody. I went back the next day on a Wednesday, Steve, and I said, I'm here for this position. He goes, I don't have a position. I said, I heard you need a secretary. No, I do not. I went back Thursday morning, 8 o'clock, and I walked in and he said, I guess I'm just going to have to hire you so you'll leave me alone. And I said, I tell you what I'm going to, I said, I will come in here. I was desperate to build a better life for my daughter. I said, I
Hmm.
will come in here tomorrow and work for you all day for free. You don't owe me anything. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to work for you. And if I don't make a difference by 5 o'clock, you don't have to hire me. But if I can make a difference in your life and your job, then you hire me. And he said, okay. Well, I went in, and it just happened that the world fell apart on him that day. It was a construction site. And I got on the phone and found all the answers he needed. And at 3 o'clock, he walked over and he said, you're hired. Show up at 7 o'clock on Monday. And I not only worked for him for years, but I became a manager. I traveled all over the state of Texas for that company and made really great money. And it was a stepping stone for the next job and the next job that helped me take care of myself and Brandy. And that and I was scared to death. I was scared to death. And what was worse is that if he'd hired me, I wasn't even sure that I could do the job. So I grew confidence as the days wore on. But my daughter told me one time, she said, well, Mom, you're not scared of anything. The truth is, I'm scared of everything. Um, but you know what? You have to get over that fear, and that's how you grow.
So we just got a couple more minutes, but what advice would you give to others?
Don't let other people determine your worth. Don't let other people uh, describe who you are. And, I'm married again now, and Brandy has a great dad. He loves her, and we both have found a voice. So reach out for help. Don't let other people determine your worth, and find yourself before helping someone else. Find the
Amen.
Lord, talk to Him, get comfortable in your own skin, and then reach out and help others.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it is to find yourself, get yourself motivated so that you're able to have the strength to motivate others. I mean, that's really important that you have to do that because if you don't find yourself, you can't help others find themselves.
That's right. And people will see that you have grown and that you've survived. We're survivors. The world's full of survivors. If you think that someone has it all, they've got this, that, and the other in cars and a fancy job, they've survived something. We're all survivors. And so they've just taken the opportunities to learn who they are and go for those open windows, discover themselves. And as I say, if I can't say it enough, don't let someone else tell you what you're worth. My cousin saved my life by telling me, take care of yourself first, and then you can really take care of your daughter. Love
Mm-hmm.
yourself first, and then you can take care of your daughter in the right
Yep, and
manner.
you have,
And Brandy
and
has
you have.
Well, Brandy's been my security blanket, and she's really taken care of me. All that she's raised me right.
Yes, she did a good job, and you tell her that too. She did a good job raising you. And I
Thank
just
you.
appreciate you guys, you and Brandy both coming on and telling your story and telling and helping others because it's important that when you're going through, you're not like Deborah said, you're not a victim, you're a survivor.
That's
And
right.
most women have to realize that they're not a victim, they're a survivor. And you come forward, tell your story. It's really important so that you can help others. So I appreciate,
Don't be ashamed.
huh?
Yeah, don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed of what you've overcome.
Mm-hmm.
Reach out. And thank
That's
you
right.
for having Brandy and I, because we'll grow. She and I will grow from this experience, and you've given us that opportunity. So thank you very much.
You're welcome, and I plan on coming down to see you guys.
Okay?
So have a bed ready, have breakfast. No, I'm just kidding. So, but so, but anyways,
Okay.
say hi to Brandy, and we'll talk to you soon, and maybe I'll talk to you later, and we'll get that information out to you that we said that we were going
Okay.
to
And
send out to you. So,
yeah, stand and find your voice at gmail.com. If anybody wants to reach out, Brandy and I will try to get you to the right people that will help you. And there's no judgment. There's no judgment, because we've probably been there and done that.
oh, okay, all right. Well, thank
And
you,
God,
and God bless.
God bless you too. And thank you for
Thank
doing
you,
what you're doing.
thank you. Well, folks, I really want to thank Brandy and Lisa for being on. And folks, seriously, we want you to reach out to us here at Axe if you have questions, and if you want to reach out to me, please do so. And then again, it's really important, Lisa and Brandy really want you to reach out to them and email them. So coming up next is Changing Times with Lynn Morris and Don Blackard, and I think after that, Trials and Triumphs with uh, Ladina Bort, right? Boo, Boo. Okay. Well, Ladina, sorry I messed up your last name, but she's got a great show also. So we want to thank you, folks, and stay tuned for next week. And talk to you later. God bless.